make sure you go and watch these videos. They will help you cement your understanding, everything that we build in the session today. Now, next thing that I'd like to talk about is this. We constantly keep organizing webinars to help you best prepare for your GMAT. So upcoming free webinars that we have for you are these. We have a free GMAT SC webinar, sentence correction webinar, which is on March 27, Saturday at 7 a.m. PST, which is the same time as this today, 7:30 p.m. IST. And then Sunday, March 28, you will have another quant topic, which is number property. So that's again a free GMAT number property webinar. You will learn how to solve 700 plus level number properties questions with the right approach in under 2 minutes. So we'll start, of course, from easy questions, and you'll see how your understanding of these topics will become clear as we proceed. Next thing, now we had this poll here for you, which was asked where we asked, when are you planning to take the GMAT? I hope everybody here has put in the responses. If not, please put in here. So let's see, we have maximum people who haven't decided on the date yet, and an equal number of people really who are taking it in the next 46 to 60 days. All right, within the next 15 days we have six people, 9% of you, 16 to 30 days. Okay, so it's a fairly well distributed group today. You know what? No matter when you have your test, I promise you're going to take something very important today with you. Whether it's in 15 days or it's undecided, use the session very, very carefully, and it's going to help you ace quadrilaterals on the GMAT. With this, I will start the presentation. Please tell me if you can see the PPT. It'll take a few seconds to load. So the moment you can see the right, I'll just give you a few house rules first. So you see a yes no poll on top where I asked you to poll in your answers. Right below that you see a chat pod called Answer Shweta's Question. Shweta, I am Shweta, and you'll be answering whatever questions I ask. But right now, as I said, you have to use the yes no poll. This chat pod I will keep closed. Just how I just closed it, you will only use it when I ask you a question and you have to answer me. So that is the way we will be interacting with each other. You will interact with me through that. On the left of that, you will see the Q&A pod, your questions and answers, which is all the questions that you will ask during the session. Maybe some questions you had a small confusion here and there, and I've already moved on. There, you can post your questions, and our co-host for today, Atreya, will help you for those with those questions. Now here, let me just introduce the both of us. I am your host today, Shweta, and Atreya is our co-host. As I said, you will be interacting with me in the chat pod, and I will be conducting the session today, while Atreya will help you with all other queries that I might not be able to take. I hope everybody is clear with the rules, what we are going to do, how we're going to proceed. This is the purpose of our session today. You really have to understand that the key to acing GMAT Quant is sound understanding of basics. You have to be super comfortable with your basics, no confusions whatsoever, and you have to have a structured approach to solving questions. So we will not be giving you any shortcuts, because we believe shortcuts don't always work. They just help you in some places, and at other places they'll just leave you alone. They'll be like, okay, we don't work here. Structured approaches, on the other hand, will always help you. So that is what we believe in, and that is what you will see here through the session. Now this here is super important. You have to understand how this session is going to work, what is going to happen first, what is going to happen next. Make sure you listen very carefully to this. So towards the beginning, right at the beginning, I am going to show you two hard questions, DS 700 plus level questions. These you are going to solve. As you see, it's written solve only, which means we are not going to discuss the solutions to this. We will discuss the solutions, yes, but not right now. After you just get a taste of what is the hardest kind of questions that you can get on quadrilaterals, we will really start building the concepts that you need for those questions. So we will start with 4 warm-up questions. These will warm you up for the session, get you all set, all ready. These are 500, 600 level questions. After this, after you do these questions, we will discuss the solutions also. And through these solutions, through the solutions of these easy questions, you will be revising all the concepts that there are. So, sometimes it's been really long for most of you, maybe some of you, very long since you've done geometry properly or quadrilaterals properly. So concepts can get rusted. With this, then, we are going to revise them. We're going to bring them all back. Then sprint 1 is your first practice session. You're going to have 3 questions here, 650 to 700 level, which will be based on whatever you learn in the warm-up. So we'll teach you everything gradually. You will just learn things at one stage and then apply them at the next stage. So this is sprint 1, your practice session 1. You will also have a sprint 2 then, which will be 3 more questions where you will apply everything you bring from the warm-up and from sprint 1. So it's a gradually building session, you'll keep learning more and more. Finally then, sprint 3 is the same 2 questions that I am going to show you first off. So this is in the beginning going to just give you a flavor of what you're in for today. What is it that you're aiming for? And after all of these 3 sessions, these 3 sections in between, you will come back and be ready for these 2 hard questions. So this is how you will be able to track your own improvement. You will find these difficult right now, but when you'll see them again at the end after our practice sessions here, you will feel, okay, you have improved. You've grown. Tell me in the yes/no poll if you understand the progression of the session. Wonderful then. This is great energy. Let's keep the participation up throughout. We are ready for the first section then, as I said, which will be 2 hard questions that I'll show you. So these are 700 plus level questions. Just give this everything you have. Trust yourself. Use whatever understanding you have right now. I am first going to give you the instructions for this. As I said, 2 questions. We will solve these towards the end of the session. Now here's a nice rule for you, which will be valid throughout the session. So again, this is something you have to be very careful about. So if you just see, I brought in a poll here on the screen where you will see 5 options, A through E, and you also see another option called still solving. Still solving for me, whosoever marks still solving towards the beginning of a question, I will count only those people as active participators in the session, participants in the session. So if I have, say, 80% of you marking still solving, then those 80% are the population that I will use to give the accuracy, and you are going to determine the pace of the session as well. So right now, before I show you the first question, I'm opening the poll here. Please mark still solving to show that you're ready for question number 1. Okay, no other options, please. I see somebody marked option E as well. Everybody marks still solving to show me they're ready for this. All right, great. We have very quick votes coming in. Great participation. Keep the energy going. I have 60 people right now who said they're ready and 96 participants in the session. So I'm going to count just the people who did say still solving. All right, with this, I am going to show you question number 1. Here you go, everybody. Good luck. 15 more seconds before I end the poll. Please make sure you put in your answers. All right then. All right, we're done. We have answers. A lot of you could not put in your responses towards the end. Next time, try to put in your answers in the time given. At least you will have a fair idea. Maybe just make the best guess, make the best guess at it. Now, let me just broadcast the results here. Give me 1 second. So you'll be able to see how you as a group responded to this question. Okay, I hope everybody can see the results now. You have 7% votes for option A. That means statement 1 is sufficient. 21% for B, 22 for C. Okay, it's a pretty divided group if you see right now. Now here, every option here got some percentage of votes and some of you could not respond. So I can see that as a group, we're not very clear with how this is to be worked. And that is natural. This is a hard question, as I said. And as I also told you, we're not going to discuss the solutions in the beginning. We will come to that towards the end. With this, I will just clear the results for this. Do tell me you're ready for the next one by clicking on Still Solving. All right. Here is question 2. Good luck, everyone. 30 more seconds before I end the poll. Please make sure you put in your answers in the next 30 seconds. All right, the poll is closed now. I hope most of you, yeah, 23% of you still did not mark your answers. Here are the results. Just check this out. You again have quite a lot of variety. We have the majority, which is a small majority though, going with option C, and we have almost a similar number of people with E, and then D, B, and A. So again, here the results show you that we were not very clear with this one, which is natural again. I cannot tell you the correct answer yet, so you will not know if you're right or not, but you will see when it comes towards the end and when I will talk about the accuracy then and the accuracy that we have right now. With this, what we did was we're done with the two hard questions, and as you know, in the progression of the session, we're now going to have the warm-up. I hope everybody is ready with the warm-up, ready to just start practice here, start the journey with, revising your concepts and bringing everything back. Before we just start, tell me in the short answer pod now, the chat pod, how do you feel about geometry in general? How are these two questions that you saw? Could you do them? How did you find them? I tried, difficult, no clue, difficult to comprehend. No, not easy. It was very exciting. Second question had way too many possibilities. It's great you said you tried your best. Somebody says feel sad. Why? Because you couldn't do these? It's okay. We will feel super happy when we will be able to do these towards the end. Need a lot of work. It's been 10 years. I understand. That's what we said, its concepts get rusted and we need to get them back. And that is what the goal here would be through these warm-up questions, to bring all that you've forgotten or all the concepts that were there in these two questions that you just saw, but you could not just put them in the right place. I see somebody talking about the options here. Well, data sufficiency questions have fixed options. You have the same 5 options every time. So it's good to remember those 5 options without having to see them. So spend some time on the options of data sufficiency and it'll take you a long way. Studied maths in school, yet struggled with, oh, studied maths in school, yet struggled. Yes, it happens. These are hard questions. These are smart questions. All right, great. I can see that the whole group here kind of struggled with these, but it's okay. You know what we are going towards. You at least have a goal in mind now. You know what is it that we will be able to do after we're done with the session today. With this, everybody, it's time for the warm-up. Here are your instructions. You will have 5 questions, easy questions, 500 to 600 level. You will solve each question after you attempt it. So you do it, then we discuss it. You do it, we discuss it. Again, the pace will be driven by the speed, by your pace. So when I see enough percentage of the people who are ready, that means enough percentage from the still solving group, the moment I get answers from them, I will start discussing. Please mark still solving to tell me you're ready for the warm-up now. Right, that is great. Get a pen and paper here. You will need, maybe you already had it in the previous 2 questions, more required there. In fact, here's question 1, everyone. Good luck. 15 seconds. 15 seconds before I end the poll. Please put in your answers before then. So I have ended the poll and you can see the results here. A huge majority, 75% of you went with option E, which is the correct answer. So good job, everyone. We had a huge majority here, a huge accuracy here, and definitely it's a warm-up question. So good. This set of concepts at least is good for most of us. So for the people who got this wrong, 15% of us who could not get this right, let's discuss this properly. And I hope after the discussion, you will have you will have enough confidence for these. All right, let's read the question together. For a rectangle whose two adjacent sides in inches are consecutive integers between 1 and 4, the perimeter is P and the area is A. All right, so we're talking about some rectangle. We don't know the sides, but we have some information about the sides, that those are adjacent, two adjacent sides, and we have something about the values that they can take. So it's going to be consecutive integers, which is one after the other. Then there's something about their perimeter and area. And the question here, if you see the options, we're really comparing the area and the perimeter of this rectangle. So let's just analyze this part by part. Here's the first piece we had, that the two sides are consecutive integers that are between 1 and 4. Now, whenever I say between 1 and 4, it will not include 1 and 4. Unless my question says inclusive, unless it says that you have to include it, you're not going to include it if it's between. So for us, which are the integers you have between 1 and 4? It's only 2 and 3. So that tells us that the adjacent sides of my rectangle are 2 and 3. So if these two are 2 and 3, then naturally the one opposite this 2 is also 2 and this is 3, because opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. Simple. So now I know exactly what my rectangle looks like. Next, what you have is you had to compare perimeter and area ultimately, but you first have to obviously find each of them. So perimeter of a rectangle, here's the formula, which is something you'll need throughout. This formula, though, is based on simple logic of what perimeter even is. It is the total length of the boundary that your figure has. So the total boundary that you have here, you have 3 and 2 and 3 and 2, right? You're just going to add all of them. So if you see here in the perimeter, it's 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3. Now we just took these two together because you really have it repeated. So it is 2 times 2 plus 3, 2 times 5, which is 10. Now the formula here really is this step that I had, 2 times 2 plus 3. With this, all you're doing is you just add your length and your width and then you multiply it with 2. Now that I have the perimeter, I work with the area. The area of a rectangle is what? It is length multiplied by the width. So 2 times 3, 6. Now it's super simple. All you had to do was compare these two. You can clearly see your area is smaller than your perimeter, and therefore it is option E. All right, I hope everybody is clear with this one now. Even the people who got this wrong, please mark still solving to tell me you're ready for warm-up question 2. Participation here. We just have 40 of you ready for this. We have more than double the number. Come on, show some energy. Here's question number 2, everyone. Good luck. 15 seconds before I end the poll. Please put in your answers. The poll is now closed and you see the results here. Majority, 62% of you went with option E, which is the correct answer. So the accuracy is not that high this time, but yes, the majority is right. We had equal percentage of people for A and C both, and we also had votes for B. We had one vote for D as well. And 18% of you did not mark your answers despite being ready for this question, despite having marked still solving. All right, let's hope that the 62%, 63 as we see right now, the other 37%, we have to get everybody on the same page. Let's discuss this properly. This is easy. Let's see. Let's read it part by part. You have rectangles A and B that have the same perimeter, so their boundary is the same. Then you have some information about rectangle A. You have its length and its area. And then you also have the width of rectangle B. Question asks the area of B. All right, you just saw what perimeter and area are in the previous question, and now this one builds up on that understanding a little more, takes it one step ahead. Let's discuss this. So let's start with what we have. We have information about rectangle A. We know its length also, and we know its area also. And what you also know is the relationship between length, width, and area. You have this formula, right? So 250 is going to be equal to 10 times width, which will give you the width of rectangle A as 25. That was the only dimension that was missing, right? You already had the length anyway. So this is what rectangle A is then. You have length and width both, and so you can calculate the perimeter. Why am I doing that? Because that is the piece of information I have, right? I know that the perimeters of my two rectangles are equal. So I'm calculating that here. So the perimeter that I get using 2 times length plus width is 70 meters. Now, you know it's the same perimeter, so that for rectangle B is also going to be 70. But I don't know the length, right? I just know the width. So I have to assume my length to be something. Let me just call that L. So for that, then, my perimeter is 2 times L plus 7, length plus width, and this is 70. It's a simple equation to solve. You get the length as 28. With this, you have both dimensions of rectangle B. You have the width and the length, and the area, as you know, is just a product of these two. That should give you 196. I hope everybody is absolutely clear with this. This was just an extension of question number 1, and this is what you will feel throughout. You have to take the learnings you get from any one question into the next one, and that is how you're going to see true growth. I'm opening the poll here. Please mark still solving if you're ready for 3. Right, that's great. Here's question number 3, everyone. Good luck. 15 seconds before I end the poll. Please put in your answers. All right, here we have the results now. Option C, 76% of you marked option C, which is correct. So that's a great accuracy again. Let's discuss. So we have the remaining 24% also comfortable with this. So what do we have here? Okay, let's start reading. We have a figure given, which is a trapezoid or a trapezium. You can call it any of those. And you're given that AE is perpendicular to CD, and so is BF. BF that you don't see here, but that's also going to be perpendicular. Area of rectangle ABEF. Now, how is it a rectangle? Because these are two perpendicular line segments. So obviously you will get a rectangle. And since AB is parallel to CD anyway. Now, the area of this rectangle is given, okay? Then you know something about AB, you know the length of CD also, you want to get the area of the trapezoid. So the main thing here was knowing the formula for the area of the trapezoid, and let's see how to do this properly. Area of a rectangle, this is the formula we just learned in the first question and then applied it in the second one as well. It's length times width. So for us, it is going to be AB multiplied by AE. So it is 8 times AE, and that is 64 because we're given the area is 64. You simply solve this and you get AE here is also 8. So you know that becomes the height of your trapezoid. Now, area of a trapezoid is calculated by this formula. It is half multiplied by the sum of parallel sides multiplied by the height. So which are the parallel sides you have again? You have AB and CD. So if you add them, 8 and 12, that'll give you 20. And then it's half times 20 times 8. Simple calculation to give you 80 square centimeters. I hope everybody is absolutely clear with how this is the correct answer, option C. I'll open the poll again. Now you have to tell me you're ready for the last warm-up question by clicking on still. All right, here we have question number 4. Good luck. Another 15 seconds before I end the poll. Here are the results, everyone. 75% of you marked option D, which is the correct answer. So great accuracy again. Let's just start discussing this solution now. What do we have here? We have area of a square ABCD is 81 square units, and the difference between the perimeters of ABCD and a smaller square. So you really have two squares. ABCD is the bigger one, PQRS is the smaller one. The difference between their perimeters is 12. So this question again uses the same things we had. It uses the area, it uses the perimeter, but it uses it in a more interesting way now. A slightly more thinking is required for this one. Then the question is to find the area of this smaller square. Let's see, let's just take this up bit by bit. So here are the two squares. Now, I know the question did not say that one square is within another. That doesn't make a difference. You can make it outside also. I've just put it inside here. So the bigger square here that has an area of 81, just think about it. Area of a square is what? It is again length times width, right? So that's going to be side times side because length and width are equal. So side times side is 81. That makes it 9 times 9. Then this other square, the smaller one, whose sides I don't know, I have just called it S. Then what I know is the difference between the perimeters is 12. So here I'll just fill in everything in this equation. Difference obviously means perimeter of the big rectangle minus perimeter of the small rectangle. That's how different they will be. That's the difference between them. Now here the difference is 12. Big rectangle will have a perimeter of 4 times 9 because each side here is 9. That becomes 36 really when you solve it. And the smaller one, I don't know S, so I'll just have to leave it as 4S. Now this is a simple equation. 12 is equal to 36 minus 4S. You solve it and you get the value of S. Now once you get the side of the smaller square, area is what? That's again just side squared. So 6 times 6, 36. That was our fourth option, option D. All right, with this, we're done with the warm-up. Tell me in the short answer pod, in our chat pod, how do you now feel and what are the things you had forgotten? What is it that you learned again through these warm-up questions? Less sad. Now more confident. Great. Yes, these were easy questions. Concepts revised. Great, that was the goal. You had to get comfortable with whatever things were rusted now. Yes, trapezoid formula learned again. Very basic are these GMAT questions. These are easy questions, of course. If you do a lot of wrong questions and you start getting easy questions on the exam, well, this is how you see easy ones. You will get the entire PPT, you will get the PDF, so you will be seeing all these questions again. Great. I see that the people who had some confusions with the concepts, who did not remember very well, are now comfortable. That's great. That was the goal. Do you all feel charged up now for sprint 1, which is the first time you're really going to apply these concepts on 650 to 700 level questions? Tell me how you feel about them. More confident than you were last time, at least? Yes. Right, great. Okay, we feel more confident. That's it. That was the goal here. Now remember, you should have 200% clarity in concepts. The concepts that we saw here, there should be absolutely no doubt here. If you did not get all of these correct, that means if you scored less than 100%, you need to revise relevant concepts from the course. You do need a little bit more revision before you get ready. Why? Because GMAT questions require a much advanced application of these. So this is what you learn, but then when you go on the GMAT again, you come to the medium level or the hard level questions, they will of course have a higher level application of these very concepts. So there should be no confusion whatsoever. With this, we're all going together into sprint 1. Tell me you're ready for this next section here by clicking on still solving. You know the drill now. That's wonderful. Here is question 1, everyone. Good luck. 20 seconds before I end the poll. Right, here are the results. 66% of you went with option B. That's where the majority went, and that is correct. Congratulations. The remaining 34% were divided between A, C, D, and E. A lot of you did not mark the final answer. Well, let's just start discussing. So one good thing here is from the people who actually did mark an answer, a huge, huge majority, almost everybody got this correct. Let's discuss. So what do we have here really? We have a square ABCD of side 15, and we also have a trapezoid. And both of them have the same area. All right, so there's the connection between these two shapes. There's something about their area that connects them. Then you also know something more about the trapezoid here. It tells you which two sides are parallel, really. Then it tells you one side, then it tells you the other, asks for the height. You know, when you see all of this, you read this question, it's just too much information. It's difficult to digest unless you draw a figure. You see how this looks. And that is really, really important on geometry. That comes under a process skill called visualize. If you visualize what is happening, you will have much less chance of making errors. And you know, your pace of solving those questions will also increase. So here's what we have. We just have a square, side 15. We have a trapezoid like this. PQ and RS are parallel as I've drawn here. I've also put in the lengths PQ 20 and RS 25, and now I know what exactly I have to find. I have to find the height, which is PE. Now I don't have to read the question ever again. I mean, I don't have to read the second part of it that only told me how these are structured. All I really care about is piece by piece I'll pick up the extra information, the information that I still haven't used, and solve it. So what do I have here? I know the areas are equal. So I will find both the areas. That for my square is 15 times 15. That'll be 225. And for my trapezoid, we know the formula now. You apply it, you get this because you still don't know the height, right? You don't know the exact value. But thankfully, we know the areas are equal. All you have to do is equate this number with this expression here. And now it's a simple equation you have to solve. Multiply 2 on both sides, divide by 45. You will get PE, the height, as 10 units. And that was the answer here, option B. I hope everybody is absolutely clear with this first question in our sprint now. Tell me you're ready for the next one with still solving. All right, here's question 2 for you. Good luck. 10 seconds before I end the poll. Right, here are the results. The majority this time, 67% of you went with option B, which is correct. So again, the majority is right. The 33% who did not get this right were divided between D and E primarily, and we had a vote for C as well. Okay, so there wasn't absolute clarity in the entire group, and again, some of you did not mark the answers. Let's discuss this and see how and how this was different from what we had already seen. Let's read. So in the given figure, AE and BF are again perpendicular to CD. We have the same situation as we did earlier. Area of the trapezoid this time is given to you, 32. Last time you had the area of the rectangle. Then we're also told AB is 6, FC is 2, and the midpoint of EF is equal to the midpoint of CD. Okay, unless I draw that midpoint out, it's a little difficult to understand what is happening here. So let's do a little more to the figure. Let's visualize what is happening, and this is exactly what you should be seeing. You should have a point M here in the middle. So since the midpoint of both of them is the same, we just have this one point M. Now, if this is the midpoint, it really means MF is equal to ME and MC is equal to MD. That's how we have this. And AB is 6, FC is 2. We've just put in everything here. Now, the question wants us to find the area of the rectangle, which is what? Length times width, right? So it's AB times AE. Now, I don't see AE here. I don't have the value of AE, but I know AB is 6. So I really just want to find out AE somehow, and I will have the area. Now, area of the trapezoid, you know the formula, half times sum of parallel sides times the height, and this is given to us. This is 32. When you just solve this a little more, multiply both sides by 2 and then just put in all the values you have, this is the equation you will land at. You don't know CD, you don't know AE yet. This is the equation we have. Remember the goal again, we somehow have to get AE. Now look, we haven't used the midpoint aspect yet. ABEF is a rectangle, right? So if AB is 6, then EF is also 6. And then, since M is the midpoint of EF, this one, MF and ME, both have to be 3. So there'll be 3 each. If I just focus on MF, that's 3. Then my entire MC becomes 5. And therefore, CD will be 10. Why? Because M is also the midpoint of CD. With this then, I got CD, which is here in this equation I had. I put in CD, and the only thing remaining then would be AE, and I'll be able to calculate AE. It will be 4 centimeters, and so the area that I was really looking for, that is what again? 6 times AE. So 6 times 4, which is 24 centimeters squared. Option B, as you all got here, as the majority got here. All right, with this, we're going into the last question for sprint 1. Please tell me you're ready for this by clicking on still solving. All right, here the poll is now open. Question number 3, everyone. 30 seconds before I end the poll. Okay, here are the results. Very interesting this time. We had a very close competition between C and E. 44% with C and 36% with E. So yes, 8% difference, but really close this time. Now, the surprising part here is that the majority this time is wrong. C is not the correct answer. The correct answer really is E. So 36% of you got this correct. Our accuracy is 36%. 64% of you got this wrong. So I'm going to take this nice and slow, and you will realize, everybody who marked C, what was the trap that you fell in. Okay, let's start reading this. Rectangle PQRS is placed inside ABCD such that PQ is parallel to AB, P and S are this and that. Too much information. Again, you know geometry needs a visualization. So you have to get the figure. So let me start with that. Here's the figure. Now let's read the question simultaneously. So PQRS inside ABCD, that is the first thing we can see here clearly. PQ parallel to AB, again we can see that here. P and S are 1 unit away from each of the 2 nearest sides of ABCD. This is really important here. Listen very carefully. Each of the 2 nearest sides. So if I talk about vertex P, here's P. Which are the 2 nearest sides of ABCD? It's AB and AD. So it is 1 unit away from each of them. So this is also 1, and this little piece here is also 1. Same thing for vertex vertex S here. We have no idea about Q and R. I don't know how far Q and R are from BC. Why? Because I can only talk about this bit here, how far Q is from AB. That is 1 unit. Why? Because P was 1 unit away from AB. Similarly, since S was 1 unit away from CD, R has to be 1 unit away from CD as well. But you have no idea about this part here. And that is the one thing you missed. Keep telling me in the chat pod if you've already found your mistake. Now with this, let me see. We had to find the area of what? The rectangle PQRS, and that means you just have to get length and width, L times W. Now L is finding W was easy. Why? Because this bit is 1. This piece here is also 1. Just subtract that from 15, 1 and 1, and you get 13. But again, because you have no idea about the gap between Q and BC or R and BC, you can really not get the length of this rectangle. And so without the length, you cannot get the area. All right, so I see how people realize now. You missed PQRS is the square, got SNR the wrong way around. Great question. Yes, so it was a great trap. We tend to assume things. Whatever happened on the left-hand side here with P and S, we just assumed the same thing would happen on the right side with Q and R as well. An assumption is a great killer. It just takes away a lot of your points. Be very careful about this. Never assume something that you don't have accurate support for. So the question should give you something. You should have really inferred something. Never just assume anything. Now tell me how you feel after the end of this first sprint. How do you rate yourself right now? Where did you start? Do you see any changes? What are your big takeaways till this point? Okay, this I didn't know, and so on. Yes, trapezium and trapezoid are the same. An eye opener. Interesting. Okay. Difficult, but not scary now. Well, half the battle is won then. We're not scared of it. Difficulties we'll take care of. With the right practice, okay, we're in a better space now. I'm glad everybody is more confident and happier now with this. With this energy, then, we will go into sprint 2, which is the second section where you're going to practice. But before that, here's a little something I want to talk to you about. You know what happens when you start and prepare? You sometimes don't know what exactly are you missing. You just get stuck with your score. You just can't seem to get the last few points. Why that happens is you don't plan your study really well. You have to have a proper plan. You have to know what is it that you have to work on. Somebody else might need to work on arithmetic, but you might want to work on, you might have to work on algebra. So you have to find your pain points and work in the right direction. So this way, you really need a plan. If you're short on time, or even if you have a lot of time, the right plan will take you way ahead from the point where you would reach without an effective plan. So we give you the chance to schedule a call with our strategy expert. You just have to click on the link that you see. You have to choose the tile when you get to that page. You just have to choose the tile which matches your problem area. So here, what do you see highlighted is timing issues. So maybe this is for somebody who was struggling with time, and somebody who's just stuck with a very with 700 but wants a 750 would select this one. You just select the relevant tile. Then all you have to do is you have to click on this, help me reach my target score. You click on this, and then you will have to choose a convenient slot. Just tell us when you want to have the call, choose the date, and then just add some information about you. What's your target score? What are you scoring currently? So this way we will have some idea about you even before we have the call. So we will have more information about you, and that way we'll be able to help you better. With this, then, you should know, if you're already an e-GMAT student, you should already have your personalized study plan. You need to understand the plan properly. You need to know what is it that you have in the plan, understand the stages of learning that we have, attend the onboarding sessions. They happen twice per week, which is where we tell you how to work with your plan. You have to attend test readiness sessions also. So that's very important. We prepare a lot, but we're not ready for the test. So you will have all the guidance videos for all 3 stages of learning. Work with our customer success team and get that success you've been wanting. With this, we are finally going into the second leg of our practice sessions, which is sprint 2. Again, you know the drill. Still solving tells me you are ready for the first one. All right, here's question number 1. Good luck. 15 seconds before I end the poll. Okay, here we have the results. You can see that the majority, this time 64% of you, went with option D, which is the correct. Yes, the majority is correct. So it has been correct till now throughout, except sprint 1, question 3. So I see somebody asked the difficulty level. Well, both of these sprints have questions at 650 to 700 level. The hardest ones, 700 plus, are what we saw in the beginning. And again, I would like to say the chat pod is for you to talk to me. All queries otherwise have to go in the Q&A pod. All right, let's start discussing this solution now. What do we have? Let's read it piece by piece. So it says if the length of a rectangle is increased by 80% and width is decreased by 50%. Okay, so we're doing something to the rectangle in terms of percentages. So you're increasing it, decreasing it, and it becomes a square then of area 324. Find the perimeter of the rectangle. Well, you know, perimeter is 2 times length plus width. So you just have to get length and width separately, or maybe just get the sum of L and W somehow. Let's see. Before just thinking so much, let's start with what we have. Here you have a rectangle with unknown dimensions. Let's just take them x and y. Let's take the length to be x and width to be y. And this is the square. How do I know it's 18? Well, I know the area of the square is 324, which means side times side is 324. So if s squared is that, then s is the square root of 18. Now here's a suggestion. You should remember squares of numbers from 1 through 20. It'll help you quickly do these questions. You know, I remember the squares of all of these numbers, so the moment I see 324, I can tell, okay, it's the square of 18. I will not waste any time in calculations or, you know, checking different products to see when that happens. So that'll be a good thing to remember. You should also remember cubes of numbers from 1 through 10. All right, coming back to this now, what do we have? We know that this length was increased by 80% and then it becomes 18. Why? Because you're getting the square from the rectangle. Similarly, if you just decrease the width, the y, by 50%, you will reach 18. Now, how do we express that mathematically? Just look at the x side of it first, the length side. I had to increase the length by 80%, right? How do I do that? You have x already, and then you have to increase it by 80%, means you have to add another 80% to it. 80% in itself is not a number. You can't just write 80 over 100 because that would just mean you increased it by 0.8. You're not doing that. You're doing 80% of whatever you start with. So since you started with x, it's 80% of x. And then it becomes 18. 80% again is 0.8. You get a simple equation to solve which tells you that the length of your rectangle is x. Similarly, you work with y. This time it's a decrease, so you subtract. But again, it's y minus 50% of y. This then, when you solve, you get y as 36. You have both the length and the width of your rectangle. Now, you just wanted the perimeter and you know the formula, 2 times length plus width. Just apply that, you get 92 centimeters, which was option D. So most of us got this wrong, but I hope the 38% who couldn't make this are now comfortable with this. Tell me in the chat pod if it was really percent change that made it difficult, or if it was something else. Please tell me here. Percent change was the reason. So whosoever did not get this right, it was percent change. Missed the question, it becomes a square. Yes, you see, every word in the question is super important. You have to give everything its due importance. Reading error, that's a huge problem. We just sometimes don't read very carefully and miss out on such information. So take this as a learning, not just percent or anything. You really have to see these skills also, that I didn't read my question properly, so that is something I have to learn. I didn't draw my figure properly, that is something I have to learn. Somebody says it was unique to see a length larger than the width. Well, there is just no reason why any one of them has to be more than the other. There were two people who said the same thing. There is no relationship between them at all. The length can be more than the width can be more than the length. Please don't have such notions in your mind. Those will lead you to errors. So there again is another learning. You found a faltering point. Once you identify points where you make mistakes, make a note of them so that you never repeat them again. You don't just do questions for the sake of doing them. Take away whatever you can from them and then use all that learning in the next question. And you will see the magic happen. I'm just clearing this poll here, reopening it to see if you're ready for the next one. Here's print 2, question 2. 20 seconds before I end the poll. Right, here are the results. The majority this time, less than 50%, 48% of you went with option C, which is the correct answer, and the remaining 52%, so this time more people were incorrect than correct, are mainly pulled towards E, 22%, and then 10% for B. We also had very few votes for A and C. Okay, so C and E really were the main contenders here. And all right, we also have few votes for D. Okay, let's just see, let's discuss this. But yes, majority is correct. What do we have? We have square ABCD and rectangle PQRS. And the very first sentence tells us that their areas are equal. Then we know something about the length of PQRS, that it is 69% more than its width. So again, this is something you learned in the previous question, how to increase something or decrease something by a percentage. So this place, you're now applying it. Just see how we're structuring this, building this up. Now you have to find the ratio of perimeters of square ABCD and PQRS. Okay, you know how to find perimeter, you know how to find area. So it's really about using this information and expressing everything properly. So here's my first square ABCD and here's the rectangle PQRS. Now ABCD, I have no idea about the dimensions whatsoever, so I just assume the side to be y, so just both of them are y here, while I have some relationship here between the length and the width of PQRS. The length is 69% more than the width. So if I take the width to be x, then length will be 69% more than x. This is how you write it. You start with x, you add 69% of x to it. Then when you work with this, you simplify this, it's just 1.69x. And that is what I've written here for PQ. Now, given information again, coming back to it, was that the areas are equal. So if I write down both the areas, this is y squared and this is 1.69x times x. That is why this is also x squared. Now, when you equate this, this is what you see. Now take the square root of both sides. You will have y equal to 1.3x. Yet again, you know what happened, what quickly helped me get here? It was that I knew the square of 13 was 169. So if 13 was 169, then 1.69 also had to do something with the digits 1 and 3. You just had to put the decimal in the right place. Now, usually you cannot just freely take the square root of both sides. Why? Because suppose you have x squared equal to 4. You can't just say x is equal to 2. Right? It can also be plus minus 2. I mean, it can also be minus 2. But here, there was no scope of anything being negative because these were sides. So y equal to 1.3x is the relationship you have. Now, you want to find the ratio of the perimeters. I have just replaced my y by the information I just got. Now, I'll write the perimeters. It's again 2 times length plus width, or for a square, you can really say 4 times the side. So this is 4 times 1.3. Or why am I still writing it this way? So that it's parallel to the way I'm doing it for the rectangle. With this, you'll be able to express both of them as 2 times something. Why is that helpful? Because I want the ratio. I anyway will want to simplify them. So why multiply things and then take them out if I could just have the common factors already set out for me? So then I'm just writing the perimeters. Be very careful which one comes first, ABCD and PQRS. So if the question mentions ABCD first, that's what you take in the numerator. Then the 2's get cancelled out here. You just have 2.6 upon 2.69 because the x's also get cancelled out. This becomes 260 upon 269, which is option C. I hope everybody is absolutely clear with this now. Tell me in the chat pod, what is it that we got wrong? 52% of us that got this wrong. You have to identify the mistakes you're making. That's the only way you can avoid making them in future. If you don't even know what went wrong, then what will you correct? Find out your faltering points. Think, what made you mark the wrong answer? And if it was just calculations, say so. It was just calculations. But you have to identify your errors. Now open. I'm sorry, I had forgotten to open it when I asked the question. We have our first answer that it was calculation, matching the ratios, didn't get the square root of 1.69. Okay, miscalculated that as 0.13. Okay, didn't get. So many of you had this problem with the square root, but you at least connected the person who marked 0.13, you at least understood that the digits were going to be 1 and 3. It was just about where to place the decimal. Be very careful. Can we do by choosing numbers? Well, in ratios, yes, it works. You can assume values if it's a ratio. But you have to take care that every information in the question is satisfied with what you're doing. Somebody says did not read the question properly. Okay, now that should totally, you should always be very, very careful about it. Be very careful. Calculation mistakes and not reading the questions, these mistakes hurt, you don't feel very good when you make such mistakes. Mistakes should be when, okay, this was too hard, I tried, I just didn't know what to do with it. But such mistakes, nicely avoidable mistakes, try to not do them. With this then, we're all going into the last question of Sprint 2. You have to tell me you're ready by clicking on Still Solving. Here's question 3. Good luck, everyone. 20 seconds before I end the poll. Okay, the results are here. Majority 60% went with option D, which is correct. So a better majority this time, a better accuracy this time. 40% again got this wrong, which is again a big chunk. So let's just take this nice and slow because this is one of the concepts that we had in the challenge questions on top. So the border thing, you have to be very careful. A border of uniform width n is placed around a square photograph, okay? If the photograph has a side length of S, I don't even know that then, find the area of the border. Now this way, it's hard, I need to visualize this, and then I have this. You have to do this for geometry. Don't take this process skill of visualize lightly. It's super important. Now here is what my situation was. I had one square inside of side S, and then I had the border of width N. Width n means this side is n and this on the left is also n. So really AB or CD, they're how much? It's S plus 2n. Similarly then, because this side is S and you have n up and n down, AD and BC are also S plus 2n. So that gives me the side of the bigger square. The bigger square is what? Which has the border as well as the smaller square. Both of them are in it. Then I need the area of the border. Area of the border is this blue region. Obviously, it's going to be the big area, that means the area of the big square, minus the area of the small square. Now I also know the area of a square. I know the formula is just side times side. So for the big square, since my side is S plus 2n, area is going to be S plus 2n whole squared. And for the smaller one, it's just S squared. Then what I do is I use this algebraic identity of A squared minus B squared. A plus B times A minus B. So here my A is S plus 2n and my B is S. So when I do A minus B and A plus B, these are the two factors I get. Simplify this and this is what you have. Now when you see your options, let's see if we directly see them anywhere. 2n times 2s plus 2n. No, we don't. That means we need to do something more to the expression that we have. You know, here I'm trying to teach you an important skill. Don't just keep working with your expression without seeing the options at all. What if this itself was an option? Then you would not have to do anything else. But now that I know that there is no such choice as this, I know I have to do something more to this. And then the moment I look at it that way, I will see, okay, 2s and 2n have a 2 in common. I can take that out. So outside I'll have 4n. Now you see the option. It's D, and that was the correct answer. Now tell me in the chat board, what is it that you missed in this question? What is your takeaway? And now that this was the last question of sprint 2, and you know we're now going to go into the hard ones again, tell me how you're feeling. What all have you learned till here? S plus 2n, just adding n on the right and n on the left. It's a border, so that gives you the bigger new side. Okay, tell me how's the journey been? What are the big takeaways, things you were missing? Not missed, but on a bad day, we may pick E. Yes, when you don't see, it's 2S. So it's about how carefully you see things. So how I went from this step to next, it's algebraic identities. There are 3 identities you have to have on your tips. They will help you calculate things super fast. So how many of you knew those identities? Tell me how many of you used identities to do this one. They always convert words into images. That is what visualize is all about. You really have to be able to see what is happening to work on them in the best possible way. Great. With all of this learning, then, I hope when you reattempt those two challenge questions, you're going to be better at them. So tell me you're ready for the challenge one more time by clicking on still solving. Question one, be very careful. Use everything you've learned till now. It'll happen. Good luck. 30 seconds before I end the poll. Okay, here are the results. You have a very small majority, but yes, a majority nevertheless. 27% of you with is wrong though. The correct answer here is option B. So 20% of you, just 20% got this right. But the first time you had attempted this, the accuracy was 10%. So the accuracy has doubled here, so that's a good thing. But I still want to understand from you people, where do you think you improved? How do you think you did better this time than last time? Maybe things that you didn't know then, but this time, yes, you tried them. So at least you made some progress. Let's not think about just getting the exact answer, the correct answer, but that growth is important. Tell me if there were things you didn't do earlier you couldn't do, but this time you could. Improved in individual calculations, failed to link and conclude. Good. Individual calculations improved means individual pieces of conceptual application are now smoother for you, which is good. You just now have to learn to tie everything together, which you'll understand when I explain this solution, how to tie everything up, how to use one piece of information with another. But I'm glad you made progress. Okay, somebody said I had the same answer last time. I don't know if you had the correct answer last time also or not. Other people, come on, we have three responses here. I am going to keep the chat pod open. Meanwhile, let's start discussing the solution. You can keep interacting with me throughout the solution. All right, a border of uniform width x is placed around rectangle A to create a bigger rectangle. So you saw this question, you saw what happens when you have a border, right? So we've seen this happen. Now the difference between the perimeters is 32. You've used this exact expression in a previous question. How do you find the difference between perimeters? Then we're asking the area of B. So again, before you go into the statements, you have to spend time with the question stem itself and see what all you can get from there. Now, I will ask you questions right after I'm done with the question stem analysis. Meanwhile, I'm just pausing the chat pod here. Be very careful, come to the analysis and tell me what you understand. Okay, so you had a border of uniform width X. Just see how I've drawn it. This is X on the right hand side. The left hand side also it's X only because it's a uniform width. Now here below your rectangle is X. It's X above it also. So we saw this with the one S and S plus 2n, that question. So similarly, if this is L, then the big thing PQ is L plus 2X. Similarly, if this is W, then PS is W plus 2X. So this was piece 1 that we're getting from before. Then difference of the perimeters, big perimeter minus small. So perimeter of the big rectangle minus that of the small. You put in the values, you know perimeter is 2 times L plus W. So you've just used it here. Put in everything in place. When you solve it, your L's and your W's will get cancelled out. You'll just have 32 is equal to 8x. So x is 4. Tell me if you reached this much. Let me bring in the yes no pod here. So you tell me there, whenever I ask, could you do this? Just say yes or no. Could you reach this far? So around 80% of us got here. but 20%, 25% did not. So with this already, you've seen one key piece that you missed, despite this not being anything really different from what we had learned. We had built this skill in the questions before this. So you just have to use everything you learned. The same reason it was 2n, it is 2x. So if you understood that, you have to understand this. If it's x on the right and x on the left, it obviously has to add up x and x, which is 2x to give you L plus 2x. Now that we're all together with the question stem analysis, okay, tell me again in the yes no pod, the yes no poll, if at least now everybody understands till beautiful. That 100% looks great. With this, let's go into statement number 1. And before that, let's have the goal set. The goal was to see what's the area of B, the bigger rectangle. Area is what? Length times width. You know the dimensions are L plus 2x and W plus 2x. So you just have to multiply them. You just have to get this product. But now that I know x is 4, I can just put in the value of x as 4. So either I find this L plus 8 times W plus 8, or I've just expanded it a little more. So this is also, if I get these 3 terms, LW, 8L, 8W, then also I can get the area. So it's just an expanded form. Now with the goal set in mind, let's look at statement 1. Be very careful, everybody. Area of the border is 72. You have worked with this before. You know how area works. It's the blue region here, which is the area of the big rectangle minus that of the small. So 72 is equal to, big rectangle is this, L plus 8 times W plus 8, and smaller one is LW. When you open this up, multiply this, and then you subtract LW, this is the expression you get. Now from this, you cannot get the exact values of L and W, right? And what did you want? Look at this expression here. You really see something similar. You have this 8L, AW, 64, which you had here also, but you also want LW, which you have no idea about. And because of that, statement 1 is not sufficient. It gave you something, but it did not give you everything. Tell me in the yes no poll if you're clear till here. So everybody who marked option A thought this was sufficient. You have to understand very clearly why this is not sufficient at all. Another 100%. I'm glad everybody is together on this. With this then, we go to statement 2. Let's read this. B can also be obtained if each of the longer sides of A is increased by 80% and the shorter sides, each of the shorter sides is increased by 100%. Now you have worked with percent change as well. So somebody who took it carefully from there will do it properly here. But there's one thing you have to see, B can also be obtained. What do I mean by that? I've already told you one way of getting B, right? Of getting PQRS, the bigger one. What was the way? That was to put the border. So you already know one way of getting it, and that way you already know the dimensions, L plus 8 and W plus 8. But this is giving you one more way, and that way also you get the same rectangle. So your dimensions are going to be the same. Now look carefully here. If the length is L and I increase that by 80%, then I get 1.8 L. Similarly, if I increase the width by 100%, I get 2W. But since this is the same as the big rectangle that I know of, my 1.8 L has to be equal to L plus 8 because it's the same, right? Similarly, my 2W has to be equal to W plus 8. Since I get L and W both, I can get this. I will not find the exact value because you don't need it with data sufficiency. But the moment I reached here, 1.8 L is equal to L plus 8, I would know, okay, I can get L. Similarly here, I would know, okay, I can get W. You don't have to find the values in data sufficiency. So this statement is sufficient, and therefore, since the second statement was sufficient alone, the answer was B. I am reopening the yes no poll. Tell me if you understand this now, completely understand this. And see, tell me in the chat pod if you can see how the previous questions are coming together in this one now. A lot of the things you learned earlier are together in this one question. So after reaching here, you equated the area. Okay, see, you just have to be careful. Had fun solving. Helpful. Good. That's great. So you can see things coming together. If you don't know what percent increase was, how to do that, then this would have been hard. Now, why is this a hard question, really? Concepts don't get hard. It's the way those concepts are tested. The application gets hard. You just have to get things together slowly, use everything you know, and then you will reach where you want to. I made L plus 8, W plus 8 into 1.8. Okay, because you equated the areas again, okay, you have equated the areas of the two big ones, but yes, that didn't take you too far. Okay, if you get the same rectangle, then it was so easy to just equate the lengths and the widths. So I'm glad you can see how that's happening. With this, then we will be going into question 2 here. Tell me you're all ready for this by clicking on still solving. I will just open the poll in a second. There you go. seconds before I end the poll. All right, here are the results. The majority went with E, 41% of you, which is wrong. E you mark when you already know each of the statements individually is insufficient, so you take them together, right? And then if you find them sufficient together, you mark C. If not, you mark E. Now the correct answer here is C. That means most of you had crossed that first step of rejecting A and B. That means you knew that these statements individually are not sufficient. After doing all of that, when you brought the statements together, you could not get to the final stage that they were sufficient. So that's where the majority went wrong. 41% of you went wrong at that last step. Now we also have people who've marked A and B. That means who thought these statements individually are correct, but very few there. The percentage there is low. So the biggest mistake today, the mistake that the majority has made, is at the very last step. So you have to become very careful. You come such a long way, reject the statements, and then just at the last step you miss it. Be careful. Let's discuss this slowly. I will again bring in the yes/no poll. You have to keep telling me as I keep answering, asking questions. Just keep responding here. So let's read this slowly. Trapezoid ABCD, area 39, is placed inside PQRS, which is a rectangle, such that AB is parallel to PQ. You've seen similar information before as well. You know how they will look one within the other. Vertices A and B are 1 inch away from each of the two nearest sides, while C and D are 1 inch away from the nearest side. Not each, but from the one nearest side. Now, this again is information you have used before. Let's now see what this is. Let's understand the question stem, see the figure here, and connect the dots. You have the trapezoid inside, you have PQRS outside, and you know A and B are 1 inch away from each of the two nearest sides. And that's why this is 1, while this is also 1. So the distance between A and RS is 1, and the distance between A and PS is also 1. Same thing happens here with B. Distances from QR and RS are 1 each. While for C and D, you know just that the distance from the nearest side, not each of the two, just the nearest side is 1. Now, which is the nearest side to C and to D? The nearest side is PQ. And that is why only this is 1. I have no idea about the distance between C and QR, or the distance between D and PS. Now with this, I have just brought in the information I had in the question in terms of the figure. Then I know area of the trapezoid is 39. I just apply the formula. The height is this yellow line segment I've drawn. And when I put the area as 39, this is the equation I get. It's a lot of unknowns here. I don't know AB, I don't know CD, I don't know H yet. I know nothing but this one complicated looking equation. My goal is to find the area of the rectangle, which is PQRS. Now here area of PQRS is going to be length times width. So it is PS and SR. Now since the information I know is about the trapezoid, I will try to express this area in terms of elements from the trapezoid. What I mean is PS is going to be nothing but H plus 2. 2y, one above the trapezoid, one below the trapezoid. So H plus 2 is PS. Similarly, SR is AB plus 2. One on the left, one on the right. Now I've expressed the area that I want in terms of the trapezoid because I have information only about the trapezoid. The rectangle is what I want. Now with this then we will see what else we can do. So somebody asks, how do you know the trapezoid is that way around? Why can D and C not be away from PS and QR? PS and QR. Well, even if you name it differently, you will not reach any new conclusion. You'll have to try that out to understand. All right, now with this, let's go into statement 1. We have the goal set here. This is what you want to find. Statement 1 tells you, okay, before that, tell me, did you all understand the question stem? I'll go back here. Tell me if you're all comfortable with the question stem. So 91% of you are comfortable. The ones who are not, I would say just when you watch the recording of the session, when you get the PPT, just spend time on this. When you watch what I said again, you'll understand this. Now that you have statement 1, which is what? Length of CD is 50% less than RS. So CD 50% less than RS. What I did was I just named RS to be small s, and then PQ obviously is also going to be small s because it's a rectangle. So what is CD? 50% less than s. When you simplify this, you get 0.5 s, which is what I've written here in the figure as well. So this is what my first statement gave me. Now don't just already give up. Remember, you haven't used the question stem yet. You have to use the question stem. What did we have from there? We had this piece, AB plus CD. And now that I know CD is 0.5s, I've just put it here. But even now, I don't know S. I don't know AB. I don't know H. How am I going to get my values? It's too many unknowns here in this one equation. So I cannot get the things I want. I want H, I want AB, and I am not getting that from statement 1. So tell me if we're all comfortable with statement 1 now. Right, so I can read here in the chat also, you realize already what is the mistake you made. You missed the each of the two nearest sides or just the nearest side. It's all about this one word I took away. I just took away each and see how it puzzled you. So that happens. You have to be super careful. Let's all go into statement 2 now. It's very similar to what statement 1 was. So AB of the trapezoid is 20% less than RS. Again, RS is just the small s that I had. 20% less than that, if I do this, it's 0.8s. So I've written that 0.8s here. You know, this time, if you just think, okay, this is just what we had in statement 1. So if that was insufficient, this also has to be insufficient already. But you know, there is something more than this one gives you. Instead of going already to the question stem, there's one more thing here, which is the fact that AB plus 2 is equal to RS. You see how you have one on the left and one on the right. So if you use that relationship, this is what you'll have, and you will be able to solve this to get the exact value of S. So you have come one step ahead of where you reached in statement 1. Now that I know S also, if I put it here, AB, which was 0.8s, that also becomes 8 then. So I found AB also. Now remember, the area I wanted depended on both AB and H. And now I already know AB. But I still have to use the question stem. When I do that, I know AB is exactly 8. But I still don't know CD. I still don't know H. So it's still two unknowns that I have, which I cannot get. So if I cannot get them, I cannot reach H, which is the one thing now that I'm missing. So tell me now, is statement 2 clear to you? Okay, 93% of us are comfortable with this. Again, watch the recording, anybody who's not comfortable, and you will get there. So statement 2 also insufficient. Now here's the main part. People who marked E, this is where you faltered. So listen carefully. This was easy though, combining. You had really done the difficult part already. So CD is 0.5s. This is what you had from statement 1. From statement 2, you had the exact value of S, and you also had AB, which was 0.8S, so that was 8. So from both of these things, now that I know S is 10, CD is 0.5S, CD, the exact value is going to be 5 then, right? This way, I also got CD. Now in my question stem, this is the equation I had. What all do I get? I already have AB, 8. I have CD, 5. The only unknown is H. So in this one equation, with just one unknown, I can easily solve it and get H is 6. Once I get that, I can just plug it here and I can get the answer. I'm obviously not going to calculate it because I don't need it for data sufficiency. So all of you, 41% of you who marked E, tell me what happened here. First of all, tell me, everybody, you understand this, and then use the chat pod to tell me what went wrong in combining the statements. Lost in between. You had come such a long way. I hope you realize when we discussed statements 1 and 2 individually took quite a while. But the moment we started combining it, it didn't take that long. RS is 10. We just calculated the value of S from the equation we had. 0.8S plus 2 is equal to S. You'll have to watch the recording again to understand that. Didn't use the formula of trapezoid area. Well, trapezoid, oh, you didn't use, then how would you even get anything here in the question stem, this equation? You have to use everything the question gives you. If they're telling you the trapezoid has an area of 39, you have to use the area. That is there to give you some information. Okay, I see people have understood. Tell me more. Tell me, what else do you think you understood this? Does GMAT always give useful information? That's a great question, and the answer to that is yes. It doesn't give you anything that you don't need. If you don't use something, then it's a hint you're probably not thinking about everything. It's always useful information. Nothing is there just to confuse you. There could be different pieces that give you the same information, but they give you something. Nothing is going to be useless. GMAT harder than GRE? Well, that depends on you. I'm not the best person to answer that, but that's not really true. If you just study properly, do things the right way, then it's not harder. You can do these. I'm sure you can already see how you've changed from where you began. GMAT loves to play with language. That's so true. They do. They like to trap you in that language business. They'll say simple information. They'll give you very simple stuff, but say it in such convoluted ways that we get lost, as we see a lot of people saying today. I didn't get any information to get the height. Well, we got that only when we combined the statements. Otherwise, we didn't have anything like that. Okay, great. So just rate yourself. Rate yourself on a scale of 10 when you started today and where you are right now. So you have to write two numbers, okay? Just write old rating out of 10, comma, the new rating. Every person should rate themselves here, himself or herself. and 7. That's a great growth. 6 and 8. Wonderful. Everybody, let's see how everybody feels after this. 4 and 7. 6 and 8. Okay. 5 and 8. 3 and 7. Okay. 1 and 4. Okay. Coming from there. Learned a lot. Reached 7. 7 and 9. Good. I love how you're rating yourself so honestly. But this is wonderful. Everybody feels improvement. You know, that is one thing that helps you build confidence also, which is again a big thing. You have to be confident. Trust yourself. You have everything. If you just practice properly, use your concepts, apply everything properly, it's going to be nice. Great. This is wonderful. Now, this, as you know, was the last question. This is where we had started today, and this is where we end today. Remember, to ace the GMAT, you just have to focus on learning and just bring in the right habits, good habits, and then just stick to them. Visualize stuff, draw your diagrams, and then here's a success story to help you believe in how this works. So she went from quant 42 to 49, was very scared of quant and struggled solving questions. And she was at 42 when she came to us. She failed on the GMAT only because of quant, because her verbal was great. It was 40 plus. You know, that's a great score. Now, what helped her? How did she make that jump? Was our new course, Quant 2.0. We have brought in our second version, this new and improved quant course that helped her build ability from the ground up, since her foundation was weak. Just as you saw yourself in your comments today, 1 to 4, 5 to 7, 3 to 7, you came up from where you were. So in this 2.5-hour session, if you've done this, think about what an entire course can do to you. So you will get feedback at every step. You will get solutions, properly structured solutions at every step, and it's going to happen for you. Mark here got Q49 on his first attempt, and his background was not quant at all. He was hovering around 41 in all of his mocks, and the very first exam he gave, he was at 49. So how did it happen? Feedback based on assessment. So you took practice questions, just how you did a lot of questions today, and then he got feedback at the right times through the course. Quant 2.0 takes a lot of effort in giving you the right feedback. So it'll help you build the current level and then take you to the next step. You have to focus on your foundations. Just how I said in the beginning, 200% confidence with your concepts. Without it, it's not going to happen. And the personalized study plan that I talked about. You have to know the right path, the path that you have to follow that can take you to your target score. Here's now one more success story. He got 750 in 75 days. Just look how beautiful this sounds. And this guy was weak in geometry. He didn't like geometry. I don't know how many of you like geometry. Tell me in this yes/no poll if you already liked geometry. Yes or no. Yes if you did, no if you didn't. Liking is one thing, and then being strong at it is another. So first of all, tell me if you like it. Okay, 100% for liking geometry. That's very nice. Okay, we got a no now. First no. Okay, let's pause this and now tell me, how are you strong with geometry, or are you weak? You'll go for yes if you think you are strong. Go for no if you think it's not very strong for you yet and you need work on it. See how the results are going. You can see how the majority this time, I'll just broadcast the results so everybody can see. 70% of you say no. You're weak with geometry. So here's another example right in front of you. This person, weak in geometry, got 750. That means he obviously did really well even on the geometry questions. And again, what helped him? Feedback based on the diagnostic quizzes. He says Quant 2.0 tells him exactly where he was weak. So you'll be pointed to the one area that you're struggling with and just work on that. Focus on application. He scored a Q50 on algebra geometry. Improved so much that this happened, and the overall quant score then was not too far. So this and more testimonials, should help you believe that you can do this. All of you can do this. Do you feel more confident now? Tell me if you're ready to take the GMAT, ready to just prepare, give this all you've got, feel confident. What is it? How is the state of mind right now? We see yeses with yes, I'm ready to take this on. Being ready, the still solving gives you a practice of that. You have to be ready for things first and then they'll happen if you just do them properly. So for concluding remarks, I'll just like to leave you with this again. 200% clarity in concepts, nothing less than that. You have to be absolutely sure. Solve questions in step-by-step fashion only. Don't take shortcuts. They're not going to work every time. They are not. Become an active reader of question statements. You saw that today. I didn't read carefully. I didn't read the question carefully. All of that happened to you today. Be careful. Trust the test maker. He will not throw anything at you that you cannot solve. It's all the things that you know. Believe in your skills. Okay, I have prepared, I've studied, now I can do this. This will take you a long, long way. Review all quadrilaterals concepts that you have in your free trial. So that'll help you cement the understanding that you built today in the session. Solve the questions that you get in the process file. So you'll have a lot of great questions with solutions there. Solve them and you'll see the magic. Solve geometry questions in Scholaranium, which is our platform for practice questions. You'll have a lot of GMAT style proper questions that you can practice your hands on. With this then, we are done for today. Tell me how you liked the session. Use the chat pod now. Now is the time to talk to me. Tell me how you liked this, and then I'm going to bring in a small poll for you. That's so sweet. I'm glad you could use it. It was really good. More inclined towards joining e-GMAT. Wonderful. That sounds great. How to manage time. Well, you learn all of that in your personalized study plan. That's how you learn how to strategize. Just working usually doesn't work. You have to work smart, not just hard. Come on, confidence in quadrilaterals, write in the chat pod and then also put in your percentage confidence now on quadrilaterals. Reading all of your comments. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the session. Okay, we have more than 100% also. Okay, that went off. Came back. Okay, very good. We have a lot of people saying they're 100% confident now, 80% confident, 50%. I'm pretty sure the people who are saying 50 started really, really low. And your 50 you should be proud of. Don't compare yourself with anybody else. Compare yourself with yourself. That's great. I can see everybody has enjoyed the session, and I'm glad. I'll see you again in upcoming sessions. Saturday, as I told you, is SC, and Sunday with me again is number properties. I'll see you there. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye, everyone.